All right, everyone, welcome in to episode 179 of Two Countries, Two Americas, All Sports. This is the only American and Brazilian sports podcast. I'm Nick Hill. I'm always from Chattanooga, Tennessee.
I'm doing good. First show of the month of May 2025. And it's funny that yesterday marked 4 years of my last Rock Salt Sports on at WTK 9.2 The Rock. It's crazy how time flies. Like it feels still to me that was yesterday
Right.
that me and you were together at Rock Soul Sports, and we kept that legacy here at Two Countries, Two Americas, all sports,
Yeah,
and
and I remember that day because you spent all day at
12
WT.
hours, 11 hours to be more precise, from 9 p.m. to 9 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Absolutely. I mean, that was definitely a marathon and certainly
Yeah.
a day to forget. Of course, never forget our last broadcast over at the Smoky Stadium as well.
Oh yeah, that was
Course,
great.
former Smoky Stadium now, and who knows what's going to happen to that as they look to redevelop that land. But in any case, 4 years later, we're here, 179 episodes in to this podcast where we talk about all things sports right now. So many sports going on tonight. I've got multiple games now. I've got Indy 11 versus Philadelphia Union. The Open Cup. Our friend Jason Wyrick's at that game. It's 1-1 in the 79th minute of that game. Additionally, I've got the Knicks and the Celtics on, and the Knicks might be trying to pull off another comeback here. It's 86-82 Celtics. It was like a 20-point game. The Knicks trying to do the impossible twice in Boston. And that's where we should start tonight, is in the NBA. Of course, Knicks, Celtics is coming down to the wire right now. We have 2:45 left remaining in the game. And while this finishes, let's talk about the other Eastern Conference playoff series. We have the Indiana Pacers at the Cleveland Cavaliers, and the Indiana Pacers, by an absolute miracle, are up 2-0. And last night may have been one of the most miraculous comebacks I've ever seen. The Pacers were down by, I believe it was like 5 points with a minute left. And the combination of missed field goals by Cleveland, turnovers, and clutch rebounding set up Tyrese Halliburton for an iconic game-winning shot with 1.1 seconds remaining to steal the hearts of Cleveland. The Pacers are up 2-0. I mean, I could not believe that finish. And it's not like that's the first time the Pacers have done something like this in these playoffs. They did that to the Bucks in the first round in Game 6 to win that series. It's really looking like the Pacers might be a team of destiny to some extent, because the way that this team wins games is truly remarkable.
And it feels like this team, has the last year's chemistry. Do you remember the run they did to the Eastern Conference Finals? You know,
Yes.
it feels kind of similar. Defining the odds. And I feel like the chemistry, the momentum carried through this year's playoff.
Well, I think too, what we're also seeing is Tyrese Halliburton. Because remember, going into this year, when you talked about Tyrese Halliburton, right? You looked at the playoffs last year, it's like, okay, he had a great performance. But then we go to the Olympics, he is left on the bench. Steve Kerr doesn't play him, and he's kind of the afterthought of NBA superstars. But I feel like he is playing with a chip on his shoulders in these playoffs. He is showing why he should have been more prominent on that Olympic team. He's showing why he should be more prominent in discussions for top 5, top 10 player in the NBA. Because Tyrese Halliburton is that guy. He is that clutch. And I mean, to take your own offensive rebound, dribble back to the 3-point line and hit your own shot is just insane. And we now have a 1-possession game, by the way, in Boston. Karl Anthony Towns just hit a shot and hit a shot off of an offensive rebound, and it's an and one. So the Knicks trying to pull off another comeback there. But man, I mean, and think about this too. If and we have a goal, and it looks like it's going to be, I guess, Philly, or did they take it away? They might have taken it away. I didn't see it.
Oh! Oh my God, Palmeiras missed the easiest goal of all time.
Oh my
Oh,
gosh.
you! I hope. I mean, I wish I could show you, but I can't because broadcasting rights and stuff. But I mean, I'll show you the video later. Incredible the chance that Palmeiras lost, but 3 minutes ago, future Chelsea player Estevam, beautiful goal, 1-0 Palmeiras in Paraguay versus Cerro Porteño. Sorry for my reaction, just could
Uh,
not believe the chance that Palmeiras lost.
yeah, so Philadelphia had scored, but they called offsides. I I don't think they were offsides. I think Philadelphia got robbed. And the Knicks lead as well, 87-86. The Boston has not hit a shot in 7 minutes. And the Knicks have come back from 20 down to take the lead. Indy on a corner kick. They're going to get a shot, and it's going to be blocked away. Indy 11 going for the cup sets. I can't read that comment, but thank you for the comment, Charlie, on the TikTok. He says, Sin Bad Usi.
Ooh,
I don't know.
I sent you on Facebook Messenger the video of the goal that Palmeiras just missed it. Like
Yes.
it was unfreaking believable. Like no way Palmeiras missed that goal. I don't know if you got the video.
I'll have to look it up here in a
Yeah.
little while. Also, Boston going to the free throw line, down 1:15 remaining. Oh, actually, they're not going to the free throw line. So Boston has the ball, a little bit over a minute remaining. It's a 1-point game in the garden, in TD Garden, the Battle of the Gardens, and they miss another shot. They miss the rebound. The Knicks get the rebound. Minute left. They're up a point. Jalen Brunson to the hole. He hits it. It's 89-86. The Knicks lead by 3. It's been a 21-2 run for New York. The past 7.5 minutes, a stunner in Boston. Can you believe it? The Knicks. And I think that's going to be a foul. And Jason Tatum should head to the line. 44.9 seconds remaining. Oh my goodness, New York. Can you believe it, Gus? Your Knicks with an
I mean,
impossible comeback again.
I can't believe it. I can't believe it. Like, and what's so funny that for the way those Eastern Conference semis are playing, you know, is this Knicks Pacer Eastern Conference Finals going to be one of the biggest, one of the like most heated, I mean that matchup, Knicks and Pacers has even a 30-30 for how heated this rivalry. Imagine an Eastern Conference final with those two young, feisty rosters.
Yes, yes. I mean, and those fan bases, they hate each other. It's New York and Boston. Boston hit both free throws. It's 89-88 now. Philadelphia Union, man, they almost hit it from like 40 yards out. It just hit the goalpost. So it's still 1-1 in the 86th. I know Jason is probably on this edge. Well, he doesn't sit down while he's at the game, but like, I'm sure the Indy 11, the Brickyard Battalion is going nuts right now. Man, we've got to a hot start in this show, guys. There's a lot going on. We picked a good time to hop on. We got 20.
I know. I know.
It's like we're on a red zone right now.
Yeah,
So
and I just put it on the NHL playoffs. The Toronto Maple Leafs facing the current NHL champions, the Florida Panthers. Right now, the Florida Panthers versus, and they are down. Toronto is up by 1, 4-3 in the third.
third period. And
Third
that
period.
would be to give Toronto a 2-0 lead as well. Philadelphia. Oh, what a good save. A good save by Indy 11. They're taking Philadelphia's shot right now, but they're holding on. Come on, lads. Man, because it'd be the second straight year Indy 11 has upset an MLS team if they pulled this off. So, come on, let's get it. Okay, let's refocus. So, we'll come back to Knicks Celtics here when this game is over. Let's go over to the West real quick. And speaking of what we've seen in these playoffs so far, I'll say this: the NBA playoffs early on were really boring early on. But they have picked up an intensity here over the past couple of days. The Nuggets Thunder game 1-2 was incredible. The Thunder also kind of collapsed at home, and Aaron Gordon with just some incredible shots down the stretch, including a game winner with I believe it was 4 seconds left in that game. Man, the Thunder and the Nuggets, showing they still have that championship medal. I mean, they fired Michael Malone, their coach, right before the end of the regular season, which was a curious move to me because to me, their problems were not coaching as much as roster construction. Because to me, outside of Jokic, oh my goodness, wow, Jason Tatum just went straight to the hole and dunked it to take the lead back for Boston. It's 18.5 seconds. Where was the defense for New York? He went coast to coast. I mean, he got a pick and roll, and then he was able to do a really nice move and got to the hole. New York, man. Wow. 90-89. Boston. Wow.
And just to expand your point, Nick, I feel like the NBA has to restructure this because NBA got it right. I think having that play-in tournament, it made sense. I feel like was the right move. But those first rounds, I mean, the West, okay, Nuggets and Clippers, the Warriors and Rockets were entertaining. But in the East, I mean, outside of, the Pistons, no other team made any attempt to make the series interesting. I think it should be 3 games in the first round, 5 games in the conference semis, and 7 games conference finals and finals.
Yeah, and speaking of those two teams you brought, the Pistons and the Clippers, so they're really the only 2 first-round teams to talk that are worth, I feel like, discussing. Because, I mean, pretty much everyone else, right, we either expected them to lose or they just didn't show up. Obviously the Lakers got eliminated, but we kind of talked about them last episode with the fact that just outside of LeBron and Luka, they didn't really have a great supporting cast, and they didn't have a center. Like, you traded away Anthony Davis, which was your main defensive presence. And yes, for Luka, sure, that made sense. But, for the Lakers, that just wasn't going to be good enough, especially against a team like Minnesota. And the Knicks are going to go to the line with 12.7 seconds. Jalen Brunson is going to have a chance to tie and then take the lead in Boston. It's still 1-1. They're about to hit the 90th minute in the U.S. Open Cup, Philadelphia and Indianapolis. Okay. Let's refocus. So, I just want to say first on the Pistons. I was very impressed with the Pistons. I thought that their young core around Cade Cunningham, a very entertaining team to watch. Really, I can tell there's a really young core. I mean, this is the first time the Detroit Pistons basketball has been relevant in it feels like 15 years at this point, maybe 20 years at this point. Granted, New York beat them at the end, but that game 6 was awesome. It's one of those things that a young franchise has to go through to grow. And I think Detroit's going to come back from that and be competitive. Now, on the flip side, for the Clippers, that was demoralizing. The Knicks have taken the lead, 12.7 seconds. Boston has the ball, 10 seconds left. Let's see. Jason Tatum, I bet he takes the last shot. Jason Tatum to the hole. He's going to – and it gets stolen. It's stolen, and the Knicks have won. The Knicks have won in Boston. It's 91-90. It's 2-0. And they're mobbing all over the floor. The Knicks have gone into Boston, have won 2 games. Can you believe it? It's up to you, New York, New York. where dreams can be made of.
It, it's stunning to me. Like, because this Knicks team has really proved year after year. Then I think every year the Knicks team has been better, and it's so crazy how for a long time the Knicks the Knicks organization always thought that they need a superstar to win a championship. This roster, it feels like the kind of roster that doesn't need a star. That they have, of course, they have talents like Karl Anthony Towns, but they don't need that catalyzing player that's gonna carry the team to a championship.
Right, and I feel like the NBA has moved away from that. Like, I think the Clippers are a great example of this. When you look at how they've tried to build their roster around Kawhi and James Harden, for the Clippers, it just seems like with this current roster construction, it's never going to happen for them. Sorry, like you finally got a healthy Kawhi Leonard who was productive, and you couldn't even make it out of the first round. Like, this is what the opportunity that the Clippers have been waiting for, and it didn't work this year. So I don't know what to say to Clippers fans at this point because I just don't think that it's going to happen under the current roster construction. Also, shout out to Shannon's Golf for all the likes on TikTok. I really appreciate that. Also, Houston. I don't know how Houston got the 2 seed in the West. They cannot shoot the ball. Now, they're a very good defensive team, but if they want to make any noise around Jalen Green and some of their other young stars that they have, like Sengun, they're going to have to figure out a way to play some offense. They reminded me of some of the earlier Rick Barnes teams at Tennessee in terms of being a defensive first, not great on offense. And that's just not going to cut it in the NBA. Like, you got to be able to score, especially when you're playing a team like the Warriors. And yeah, I know they're older, but they still have got Curry and they still have Draymond, and like those guys just know how to win in the playoffs.
And you speak of Draymond Green, what a performance he had, showing that he can still be a relentless defensive player. And it has been like, I would say though, this Golden State Warriors run, I think was something never done in the NBA because, okay, we had really impressive short runs in the NBA. I'll say it was 6-year stops, like those dynasties, the
Bulls and the Lakers and the
Bulls,
Heat.
the Lakers, the Heat, the Spurs. They had a short period of a contender. Of course, they always come back, but with those same figures and the same coach, it was unheard of.
Right. The Spurs were probably the closest to this. And also, while I'm on the topic, shout out Greg Popovich. He officially retired in the past week. Legend, I think, arguably the greatest coach in the history of the NBA. I know he didn't have the most rings, but I think in that he was in a small market. They built organically in San Antonio. Like, they drafted Duncan, they drafted Parker, drafted Ginobili, drafted Kawhi. Like, they built themselves organically, and he built that team up. And obviously, we'll see how Victor Wembanyama grows. Hoping he stays healthy with the blood clot situation. But I mean, Wemby's going to be a star too. I think eventually one day. I mean, he's already a star, but he's going to be a superstar. Arguably, already a superstar. We just need to get him into the playoffs. These are all legends that he's gotten to coach, and I know he was kind of controversial towards the end with some of the political statements, but like, I don't care. Like, that as a basketball coach, he's one of the GOATs.
And when he won, he had to define 2 teams that had 2 superstars. When I remember, he won the NBA, beating the Lakers with Kobe and Shaq, beating the Heat with LeBron, Bosh, and Dwayne Wade. So he won those championships. I know he had the most rings, but he won with a very tough era.
Oh, for sure, and being in a smaller market too, like that. What he did in San Antonio was super impressive. So I'm curious to see what the Spurs do. But
Didn't he move to a president of basketball operations?
yes, yeah. So he'll still be involved. He's just not going to be on the sideline.
But I think it was time. I think he should have done this moves years ago. Years ago, he was already had some healthy issues and not being with the same intensity. He should have done that. I'll say 6 to 7 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, I think a year or two ago would have been great time, but I don't blame him. He got a chance to coach Wimpy and
Yeah,
at least be a part of his start. So definitely kudos to him. Career well done. But kind of circling back to the Warriors, and now it's going to be interesting to see what happens in the series against Minnesota. They did win the first game last night, 99-88. However, they've lost Curry for a week to a hamstring. And to me, that's going to be really costly for them because Minnesota is a very, very good defensive team. And now they've got by far the best player on the court, in my opinion, Anthony Edwards. But Minnesota is going to have to show some maturity in this series, right? Because Golden State, even without Curry, that's a team with championship experience. We've got Steve Kerr, who's a championship level coach. Granted, we've had criticism of him on this show, especially when you look at the Olympics and over the years. Not everyone that we are in our orbit as big fans are big fans of Steve Kerr, but the facts remain the facts. He's won 5 championships, so that's got to count for something, right? So can the question is, can the coaching of Steve Kerr, tread water while he doesn't have Curry?
yeah, because has been a kind of like a cornerstone. These two, Stephen Curry and Steve Kerr. I mean, they work together. Since at least 10 years has been this dominant. But I think they're gonna have to find themselves. If Steve Kerr is the one of the greatest coaches, that's the time to show that he can reinvent himself without his superstar player.
Yeah. Also, I just want to say Indy 11 is going to overtime, extra time, 1-1.
Yeah.
I'm sure Jason is a basket of nerves right now because that would be insane if they pulled off another road win against an MLS team in 2 straight years. But okay, circling back to the NBA. So the team we haven't talked about is the 1 seed Oklahoma City. They were insanely dominant in the first round against Memphis, swept them, but then they lost this first game. I still feel like they're the better team against Denver. I think they're going to find a way to get this done. But once again, it's just kind of the thing, kind of like we just saw with Boston and what we've seen with Cleveland. These teams are having a really difficult time finishing these games at home. Boston, they literally did not hit a shot for the last 8 minutes of the game tonight. I mean, that can't happen if you want to win an NBA playoff game. The Cleveland Cavaliers, literally with 20 seconds left, they were up 3. All they have to do is get the ball in bounds. They just throw it straight to the Pacers. I'm just like, oh my goodness. We're talking about an NBA team. I mean, some of their late game decisions that I was seeing, especially from Cleveland last night, who's the 1 seed, a very talented team, a very good team, was every bit as bad as some of the college basketball teams I saw this year. It blew my mind. And it just makes you wonder if some of these teams just aren't mentally built for the pressure of the NBA playoffs.
Yeah, and the Cavs, for example, is our young core. They were the number one. They are the number 1 seed, and the Pacers, I think, is carrying more momentum. And then you see the East. Both Pacers and the Knicks to a 2-game lead. It feels like Denver and Golden State might do that tomorrow.
I mean, we'll see. I mean, Denver and Oklahoma City play tonight. So what do we think right now? Who do we think are going to be in the conference finals?
Knicks and Pacers for sure, and Nuggets and Warriors.
I'm going to be honest. I still think the Celtics are going to come back against the Knicks. I just have a feeling they're going to find their way back. But I think the Pacers are going to beat the Cavs. I still think Celtics, Pacers. In the West, I still trust the Thunder. And with Curry being out, I'm going to pick Minnesota, but that's trepidatiously. I'm picking Minnesota. And at my own peril. Meanwhile, over in the Stanley Cup, we have right now, of course, Toronto and Florida going out. It's 4-3. We're in the last 5 minutes of that game. Toronto trying to get a 2-0 lead. And this is a great start for Toronto because this is honestly going into the series. I think a lot of people saw Toronto as the underdogs. A lot of people didn't really have faith in them because of the way they played towards the end of the Ottawa series. And they're Toronto. Like you can't trust Toronto in the playoffs. But hey, they won game 1, and right now they're very close to getting game 2. I mean, I think if they can find a way to go to Miami up 2-0, I mean, they have a real shot to get to the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time, and I probably in our lifetimes. I don't know when it was the last time they went to the Eastern Conference Finals.
But they have some ghosts to beat and some traumas to eliminate.
Yes.
Because if they're a team that, facing those kind of scenarios choked, is the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Yeah, the last time they went was 2002. Was the last time they went to the conference finals. So it's been a long, long time. A very long time. I remember the last time they even won the Stanley Cup was in the 1967, actually. And that was the last time they went to the Stanley Cup final at all, was 1967 in Toronto. Literally, I think the city where hockey probably matters the most. Well, that or Montreal, where it matters the most. So, yeah, lots of pressure. But hey, if they can go up 2-0 tonight, that would be huge. And things are really looking up for Canada because, one of the ongoing themes, I think, every year when we talk about the Stanley Cup playoffs is this the year Canada will finally get Lord Stanley Cup to come home? And one of those teams to me that has that shot is the Winnipeg Jets. And I don't know, did you get to see the end of Game 7 between the Jets and the Blues? Because the Jets, they were about to lose. They were seconds away from losing. They were a possession away from the end of the game, and they scored with a second remaining on the clock. And Winnipeg just went nuts because with the wideout that they do up there, that was one of the greatest scenes I've ever seen in hockey. And they went on to win in double overtime. A heartbreaker for St. Louis, trying to get back to the Stanley Cup for the first time since 2019. I remember they won the Stanley Cup while I was over in London. But, man, Winnipeg got it done. Dallas got it done over Colorado, a team that's won it recently. So we got the Stars versus the Jets, which I think will be a heck of a series. That's a heavyweight matchup.
Oh yeah, and if this year feels like the year, because there's a big chance of an all Canadian Stanley Cup Finals. I mean, if that happens, especially with all the heat, with U.S. and Canada, for the first time, even outside the ice, has been a heated relationship. Imagine, like, the Canadians will thrive.
Yes, and also Edmonton. Edmonton's already up to a 1-0 start in their series. They beat Vegas in Vegas 4-2. Super impressive to win there. I mean, people are like, "Oh, Las Vegas doesn't really care about sports. That's just tourists go there." No, they show up for their hockey team. They'll show up for the Golden Knights. So that's a good one on the road. And of course, Connor McDavid has so much pressure on him in Edmonton to bring them their first title since the days of Wayne Gretzky. Of course, Austin Matthews and those boys in Toronto have so much pressure. I mean, the matchup I want to see more than anything is Oilers and Leafs. Because you have the two best players in the modern generation and Matthews versus McDavid. And imagine if you get Toronto versus Edmonton for a chance to be that first Canadian team to win the Stanley Cup. I mean, the pressure would be through the roof for both of those players and for those teams. So we'll have to wait and see. Additionally, I feel bad for Dylan Becker. The Hurricanes beat the Capitals in game 1 last night in overtime. It was a great game, but Carolina got it done in game 1. So, yeah, so right now, Toronto, Carolina, Edmonton all lead. The Winnipeg and Dallas start in just a couple of minutes, their series. So, who do we think are going to the conference finals?
Winnipeg, Edmonton, Toronto, and the Capitals.
I would agree with that. I'm going to actually go completely with you on that. Also, in hockey news today, off the field, the Utah Hockey Club has announced their new name. They unveiled it in like a 3-minute promo, which was not the most popular 3-minute promo. That would go to Grand Theft Auto 6 in their second trailer. Something just happened. I guess I got a save. Okay. Still 1-1. We're currently in extra time, 94th minute. Oh, man. Philadelphia was so close. Oh, my gosh. Oh, my. Wow. What a save. I mean, this close, Gus. This close to Philadelphia taking the lead. But Indy 11's just, I mean, I feel like right now, if you're Indy 11, they're just trying to get your best bet's probably penalty kicks.
And real quick, speaking of hockey, the SPHL, the Knoxville Ice Bears lost 2-0 to the Evansville Thunderbolts. So the runner-ups of the President's Cup Finals, the Knoxville Ice Bears, which is really my hockey team because I really miss watching them. It was such a good time enjoying at the Knoxville Civic Coliseum.
Yeah, I wonder with the new Smoky Stadium, will there be any upgrades to their arena? Because I mean, their arena.
Oh, that's what I saw too, because it feels like an old arena.
It is an old arena. Like even when we were there, it was old. So that they really, I mean, with the new baseball stadium right next to it, they could use a new arena on that side of town for sure. Yeah, but the Utah Hockey Club are now the Utah Mammoth. Not Mammoths, but they are the Utah Mammoth. What do you think of that name?
Didn't like it. No.
I mean, I like it in concept, but why is it just Mammoth? Why is it like, who's going to call them? Oh, yeah, we have the Maple Leafs versus the Mammoth. Like, we got the Maple Leafs, the Blackhawks, the Rangers, the Mammoth. It doesn't fit.
I have an idea for a name. I don't know if that's too much controversial. The Utah Mormons.
I'd say they probably, for business reasons, can't go that direction. The one that people really wanted were the Utah Yeti, but apparently the Yeti Cup company wouldn't let them do it. You know, like the little big the styrofoam cups, like Stanley Cups.
Yeah,
but like Yetis, so like they wouldn't let them do it. But yeah, the Utah Mammoth is interesting. So we'll see how they do. Of course, this is the former Phoenix Coyotes. They had.
Yeah, I remember the disasters that was at the end. I remember they had to play at the college arena.
Yep, Arizona State's arena. So, yeah, I mean, they were the A's of their era.
Yeah.
So, in any case, Stanley Cup continuing, and it's 4-3 Toronto, 33.7 seconds remaining in that
for
game.
Me too.
Yeah, so,
yeah, for me too, 33.7 seconds.
Yeah, so we're in a timeout there. Now, one quick NFL note here. George Pickens, the receiver from the Pittsburgh Steelers, has been traded to the Dallas Cowboys for a third-round pick, which when I saw this morning, it was confusing to me, guys. I don't know if this makes either team better.
Well, it's funny that for Dallas, it kind of makes sense because they needed another receiver. I think their offensive core, was a good move. But for Pittsburgh, a team that desperately needed to hold two offensive, pieces. And this move, if do you think this, and I want to ask you a question, if this moves make Aaron Rodgers, less appeal to go to Pittsburgh?
I mean, my question to that, my response would be to that would be, where else can he go? Who else would take Aaron Rodgers at this point? I mean, maybe Minnesota, but like, I just, I don't. We're in May, Gus. Like, how much longer can we wait? And Toronto has officially won, so they're up 2-0 now over the Florida Panthers, and they're going nuts in Maple Leaf Square. So, in any case, they're going to be running through the six all night long. But back on this, George Pickens deal and Aaron Rodgers. If you're an NFL team, and this is May, right? Like rookies like Cam Ward are already beginning installs, right, with the Titans. Like even with a veteran like Aaron Rodgers, you need time to do installs. Like I forget exactly. I would have to go back and look at the archives. When did Tom Brady announce he was going to Tampa?
I think that was May 2020.
Yeah, so about
Because I remember that was one of the biggest news during the hard COVID period.
Yes, I remember we did like a whole show just on that one topic.
Yeah,
I remember that because we had nothing else to talk about.
Yeah.
But Aaron Rodgers is not going to bring that type of impact wherever he goes. Now, Tom Brady surprised me because I was poo-pooing that move at the time, and they went on to win the Super Bowl. So I could be wrong about Aaron Rodgers, but Tom Brady was still going to the playoffs every single year and still winning divisions with New England when he left New England. That's not the case with Aaron Rodgers. He didn't even make the playoffs in his last year at Green Bay. Was an absolute disaster in New York, with the injuries. I just don't think you're going to see Aaron Rodgers come anywhere close to Tom Brady because Aaron Rodgers isn't Tom Brady. Tom Brady was a selfless teammate. Tom Brady made everyone around him better. Aaron Rodgers is a distraction. And he's no longer good enough to be someone that you could overlook those distractions. At one point, yes, 10 years ago, absolutely he was good enough. He's not good enough anymore.
Because this move was going to the Jets. That was his New England to Tampa. But I think he should have called it a quits if that's the case. Like,
yeah, I mean, it's going to be, no matter where he goes, he's going to be mediocre. Like, it is what it is. It's going to be really anemic, boring football to watch. But for George Pickens, there is an argument to be made that he will see more targets as a wide receiver 2 in Pittsburgh or in Dallas, the wide receiver 1 in Pittsburgh. Now, remember, they did also sign DK Metcalf this offseason. So they were going to have both Metcalf and Pickens. But now they got rid of Pickens. So they're back to just Metcalf. And let's be real, is Metcalf at this? So Metcalf is definitely an upgrade from George Pickens. There's no question about that. Metcalf is an upgrade. But remember, the rest of that Steelers receivers room was not very good. Like, why would you not keep Pickens? Unless there's character concerns. But the Steelers have dealt with Antonio Brown among other players.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like for the Steelers organization, the bar for character and controversy is very low.
Yeah. So I don't know, Steelers, and like only for a 3rd round pick too. I mean, if you for Jerry Jones, this feels like okay. Let's throw all of our chips in on Dak one last time, and let's see if we can make something work.
I think that's the case.
Although I don't think that's going to happen. But I will say this: what are the odds that our boy Joe Milton, at some point, gets his shot with CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens, which, by the way, are better receivers than anyone he ever played with at Tennessee. I'm just saying, what could make Joe Milton might end up being better than we thought, but who knows? That would be something. to say the least.
I think he has a chance in the NFL. I think his strength is better in the pro football than college football.
Yeah. Like the receivers we had in 2023 weren't the ones that he needed. Like if he had Jalen Hyatt and the 2022 Jalen Hyatt for a full year like Hendon did, then maybe we talk differently about Joe Milton than we talk about because Hendon Hooker we give all this praise to, but we have to be honest, his receivers in 2022 also were great, especially Jalen Hyatt. And also, speaking about 22 receivers, I want to shout out Brew McCoy. He announced this morning, well, last night, that he's medically retiring. Never was able to really come back from that ACL he suffered in 2023 against South Carolina. So he's not going to get to live out his dream playing in the NFL, which really sucks. I wish he had gotten that opportunity, but hey, he's still for my book had a great career at Tennessee. I'll never forget his game-winning catch against Alabama that set up Chase McGrath's winner in 2022. I mean, and granted, the rest of his career was kind of mediocre, if we're being honest, at Tennessee, but that one catch puts him in my personal Hall of Fame. I don't care what else he does. The game-winning catch of Alabama puts you on another level. So thank you, Brew McCoy, for your service in Knoxville, and I'll be curious to see if he ends up being like a coach or something.
Oh yeah, he can definitely help in the outside the lines. I think he can be a good wide receivers coach, and I think that can be really helpful.
Absolutely. Speaking of retirements, Cam Rising, the former Utah quarterback, he retired as well. He was in college for, I think, like 8 years, suffered a ton of injuries every single year. I mean, he definitely had potential, but he never had like NFL potential. But he was a good college quarterback. Just too many injuries. Was in college for too long to ever be in the NFL. Also, kind of going back to the NFL real quick, Justin Tucker, the all-time kicker for Baltimore, was cut yesterday. They drafted a rookie kicker, and then with some of the off-the-field issues with the massage allegations, and the fact is, to me, people are debating, it was Justin Tucker cut because he was canceled. I mean, you could argue partially, but Justin Tucker wasn't good last year. Justin Tucker missed so many kicks last year. You can tell that he's aging, that he's not the bullseye accurate kicker that he used to be. And once again, it's that case of your talent exceeds your problems. The NFL will play you. At this point, though, the problems no longer exceed the talent no longer exceeds the problems. So
yeah, I think that's the case, Nick. I think if you are really, really talented on the field, your off the field issues will be overlooked. I mean, look at Deshaun Watson. I mean, if we talk about somebody with massages, and that kind of issue,
right. And he got a $250 million contract because Cleveland thought he could win him a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And that did not work. Let's just say that much. I mean, not even close. Yeah. Also, back to college football. A really crazy headline today with our good friend, President Donald Trump. Yeah. It's going to be a good topic when this guy shows up in the sports headlines.
I mean, the last time Donald Trump made some moves into football, one league was diminished.
Yeah, and apparently it also deals with our good friend Nick Saban as well. So apparently there's a rumor flying around that Donald Trump is going to make Nick Saban his college football czar to, quote, save college football with NIL and some of the other things that people are becoming more angsty about. Okay, I'll say this. Are there things about college football I don't like right now? Absolutely. We just saw that with the Nico situation. Like, it's definitely affected Tennessee as much as any other school. I don't know if I really want the government, though, meddling. And this is the kind of the problem. This is where college football really finds itself in a problem, because a lot of these schools that play college football are public universities, like University of Tennessee, Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State, Michigan, all public schools. So, you're going to have Title IX and other federal programs that are deeply tied to that. And of course, the Trump administration with Elon Musk and Doge is really trying to shrink federal spending a lot in a lot of areas. I know I've been covering it nonstop. And a lot of people are not happy about it. But one of those places is colleges. But college football is one of those um, places that makes money. And of course, Donald Trump has been a college football fan, a well noted college football fan over the years.
What I think Donald Trump should
And
look.
apparently, Donald Trump is opening a task force to kind of
What I
investigate.
think. Oh, go ahead, Nick. Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say like.
Yeah, no. Go ahead. I was just gonna pull up.
For me, the entity that the federal government should at least be looking to make an intervention is it the National Collegiate Athletics Association, the NCAA, which is archaic, which is how can nobody point the fingers of the organization that led to this mess with tighten regulations and tighten rules? Because if you really think about it, there were even federal investigations and people being punished by breaking private rules. They didn't break any laws, it was just the rules from this archaic institution, which now that they have no power whatsoever, it led to open a box that now has no control, no limits.
Yes. So, and here's like a little bit from Ross Dellinger uh, of Yahoo Sports. He says, "quote Details of the commissioner for now being kept private, but the group is expected to feature college sports stakeholders, prominent business people with deep connections to college football, and perhaps even a former coach and administrator. And rumors are that's going to be Nick Saban." The commissioner expected to deeply examine the unwieldy landscape of college sports, including the frequency of player movement in the transfer portal, the unregulated booster compensation paid to athletes, the debate of college athlete employment, and the application of Title IX to school revenue share payments, and even conference membership makeup and conference television contracts. So I'm going to be honest, when it comes to the White House, we have so many other like actual issues. I don't feel like that this is something I feel like worthy of a presidential commission. And I say that as someone who loves college football. I don't think this is a place where I want the government stepping in. I mean, the college football is a business, right? Like, and as a capitalist society, we should let businesses, do what businesses are going to do. Like, college football is a wildly popular product. And I know there's some people who are beginning to become uneasy about it, like with all the offseason news. But let me remind everyone this. Were you bored during November of last year when we had 20 teams fighting for playoff spots and we had all these upsets and crazy results in like we were going through all these possible scenarios? Were you bored then of college football?
No.
Exactly. And as soon as the ball kicks off in early September, we're going to forget about all these things because at that point, all that's going to matter is playing football. Now, it's easy for me to say that as a fan of an SEC team. There's some people like Washington State fans, Oregon State fans who would say football's been eternally ruined for us because we got kicked out of the Pac-12. Our position as a power football school has been taken away from us. And I get that. For a lot of schools, they probably feel like that their ability to ever be truly competitive is gone. And that's perhaps where we really need to take a look at in terms of structure. Like, do we really need a 134 school FBS where we know, 100 of those schools will never win a national championship ever? Like, is that a structure worth keeping? And I think arguably, no. We probably need to go back to some sort of tiers. Like the MAC schools and the Mountain West schools should be on their own separate tier from the SEC and the Big Ten. Like we shouldn't pretend that they're in the same league.
No, I agree. Because for example, the FCS, it makes how interesting is the championship where teams like the Chattanooga Mocs, ETSU, North Dakota State, South Dakota State compete in their own league and wins their national championship.
Right. Like North Dakota State versus South Dakota State this year was unbelievable. It was a great national championship. Phenomenal game. Like neither of those teams will win the FBS championship, but they don't need to compete against Ohio State or Notre Dame because they can't. Let them compete against teams that they can compete against. And like no one, in my opinion, truly cares about a bowl game, right? Like,
Yeah.
because like I put a funny little story in there about Akron. So their Akron Zips are ineligible for a bowl game because their team grades are too low, which is insane. We're still even doing this in 2025. Like we're out here still pretending like student athletics actually care because this is the waning influence of the NCAA, right? They're still trying to hold on to this notion of student athletes, but we know it's a business. But like in Akron, it really isn't a business, right? But why are we pretending that Akron and Ohio State in the same state are in the same league? They're not.
No, they're out. They're they're lighting miles away.
I mean, Akron is our tribals with Kent State. Did you see what happened when Kent State came to Knoxville last year? They were down. They were down 60 points in the first half. I mean, they had me convinced that Nico Imialaba was going to be a generational quarterback. I mean, that's just facts. So, unless this Trump commission comes back with some sort of finding like that, I don't think they're going to truly fix what really needs to be fixed. And, and this might be controversial. Maybe we should go to a Super League, and that's been something we've talked about in the past, where there's been this idea floating around a Super League. But I think inevitably that's where we're going. Like most of the SEC, most of the Big Ten, like Clemson, Florida State. And that's what it's going to be. And what college football will look like when we get there, we'll find out. Because will the tradition of the schools themselves, the game day environments themselves, be able to withstand the fact that you don't have like the Big Ten schedule anymore or the SEC schedule anymore? That we will have to see.
Oh yeah, but I think there's gonna be some moves until the end of this decade for sure in this direction.
Yeah, but I think really the main thing they got to figure out though is the unlimited player movement. Like it's a disaster. Like there's a reason why NFL, NBA, MLB have strict contracts. You can't just move around semester to semester. Having people transfer like 7 times. Like TJ Finley's on his 7th transfer right now in college football. Like that's ridiculous.
And it's so funny, like in this kind of scenario, where his alma mater?
Yeah, what is an alma mater? You're right about that. So, I mean, it's nuts. Like it's a team of mercenaries. Like I don't know what 22 players are going to start for Tennessee this year. But in any case, I'll root for whoever's out there. Just interesting that Donald Trump is getting involved. Now, also in college football, ESPN says they're willing to pay millions for a 9th SEC conference game, which I am all for. The SEC should be playing 9 games. The Big Ten plays 9 games. The SEC should be playing 9 games. Why are we wasting a game every fall playing Chattanooga, playing Kent State, playing UTEP? Like those games are boring. Like I don't want to watch those games. Give me another competitive game against an SEC team.
And I think the move towards that is going to be from the other conferences because, as you point out, great. The Big Ten has 9 conference games. That should be a standard because when you're all competing for the same goal, which is the playoffs, the college football playoffs, it's not fair for one conference has X number of in-conference play and the other one has less or more. There is an imbalance, and that affects the competitiveness.
Right, especially with how large these conferences are, we don't have equal schedules. Some schedules are too easy, some schedules are too hard. But like it's hard to say because you don't know what teams are going to be good or not. Like no one saw Arizona State winning the Big 12 last year, for example. We all like I went back one day and I was listening to our Big 12 preview from like, oh my, what a save! Oh, dude, Indy 11's goalkeeper is going crazy tonight. Like he is just this is like Tim Howard versus Belgium. Like he's going nuts. So it's 1-1, so 115th minute.
Here in the Copa Libertadores, Palmeiras still dominating the game 1-0 in Paraguay.
Yeah, we're about to. Unless unless Philadelphia can break through here, we might be going to penalties in Philadelphia. Also, Oklahoma City's demolishing Denver early. It's 40-16 right now. Of course, as we've seen, no lead is safe in the NBA. Okay. So quickly to baseball, because the Tennessee Baseballs, it's not been a fun couple of weeks, Gus. They lost another series this week, a weather-plagued week, and man, we had some horrible weather last week, Gus. We had flooding, and
yeah, I saw the map that you shared.
Yeah, it was nuts. But in any case, the Tennessee Baseballs did not win. They lost 2 games. They won 1. And man, this has just been a brutal stretch. They're down to number 15 now in the D1 baseball rankings, and they're kind of limping towards the end of this season. I think they'll still get to host a regional. They're probably not even going to get to host a super regional at this point. They still have the talent to get it together and make it to Omaha, definitely. But you can tell that right now they don't have the same leadership this year that they had last year. And I mean, when you win a national championship and lose a lot of talent, that should be expected. And perhaps, I think for a lot of us, we failed to take that into account for this season. And because when they went undefeated right through the non-con, and just were unbelievable, and they looked amazing, but they have been tested a lot, and they really haven't responded well to that test so far. But AJ Russell's back starting, didn't play great Sunday. But, give him a couple of starts, we'll see. But definitely Tony V's got some work to do with this particular team if they're going to get back to Nebraska.
I mean, and they're fifth. I saw they're 15 ranked. I mean, it's a little bit of a hangover, but I still feel they're going to make to Omaha. Not as a top candidate like last year, but they're still, I think, has room to improve. And I think they're going to make it.
I hope so. Depends on the matchup. I don't know if I'm confident enough at this point to say they're making it to Omaha. Because up until this point, I would have agreed. Yeah, they're not playing good right now, Gus. I mean, honestly, the way they're playing, they could get upset in the regionals. The way they're playing, they're not playing good. They're playing horrible on defense. Just a lot of mistakes. But if they clean up the mistakes, they have the talent to go back to Omaha. So we'll have to wait and see. Softball, they're at the tournament this weekend. They play Arkansas on Thursday. They're going to be a top 2 free seed this year. So we'll see if they can get it done to get back to OKC. MLB, we'll shout out the Braves. I believe they're losing tonight, but they are almost back to 500. They were 17-18 heading into the night. They started off 0-7 this year. They did lose 4-3, but so they're to 17-19, but still the long way to go. And being almost 500 right now is way better than being 0-7.
Yeah, but my New York Mets, I know they are not having a good. I mean, they lost 5 out of their last 10 games. Philadelphia is only behind 2, so this National League again is going to be. I think at least 2 teams are going to make out of the East. I mean, the wild card is going to be a team from the East fighting against a team from the West.
I could see that 100%.
And if you look at right now, the battle is literally that. The San Francisco Giants are 2 games above the Philadelphia Phillies. So it's literally what I just said.
Right. And to me, it just feels like someone between the Dodgers and Padres is got to merge. But San Diego, I mean, they got to break the glass ceiling. They got to find a way past LA. And, San Francisco's right there, too, with those two. So I think the team that surprised me the most right now is the A's.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
The homeless West Sacramento A's are 20-18 out of nowhere. And isn't it this honestly, I honestly I hate this. I don't like this. Like they screw over Oakland for all those years. They finally leave, and now they're 20-18. You couldn't have brought this on for Oakland? Those fans that were diehard supporters, and I'm a little biased here. Like one of my best friends in the entire world, my former roommate in college, massive Oakland A's fan. And obviously, he was heartbroken when they left. So I kind of hate the A's by transmission. But they have a winning record now. That just feels so dirty to me.
Yeah, I know we're still under 40 games and there's a lot of baseball to be played, but yeah, that feels weird. And I think it should be somewhat illegal for a minor league stadium to host MLB playoff game. It feels wrong.
Yes, and hopefully that doesn't happen. Please, Texas.
Like MLB should force the A's to be okay. You want to be bitchy about Oakland, fine. You want to play in the minor league stadium during the regular season, fine. But when it comes to the playoff, I don't know. Go play in San Francisco.
They got to make show. It'd be kind of funny though to make Shohei Ohtani play a World Series game in a minor league stadium. Imagine the Japanese audience watching the Shohei Ohtani, and they're just like, wait, why are they in a small stadium? They're just like
I don't think Major League Baseball would allow that.
That would be so funny. Yeah. Anyway, quick racing. Joey Logano won at Texas at NASCAR. Very interesting race. Michael McDowell really blew this race. Would have been ironic if he had won at Texas, because once upon a time he had an awful wreck at Texas where he flipped over multiple times. But he wrecked again at the end of this race. They go to Kansas this week, one of the best tracks currently on the circuit. And I think they're going to overtime. Or penalty kicks. Yeah, they're going to penalty kicks in Indy 11 and the Philadelphia Union. Also, Oscar Pastari won the Miami Grand Prix in F1. Some of my friends actually met Oscar after the win in Miami. So
nice.
Good for them. Also, of course, Open Cup, as I mentioned, we have a great game tonight in Indy 11. Also want to shout out the Chattanooga Red Bulls for making a run to the round of 32. They fell short last night to the Nashville Red Bull or Nashville SC. But hey, that's 2 rings above them. So, I mean, they can't be embarrassed by that, because, they gave it a shot. So, anyway, so that's kind of everything from America. However, we have more soccer down in Brazil. And really, I kind of want to start off in Europe real quick, a bit of a detour, because I know it's not America, not Brazil, but Barcelona, Inter Milan, one of the greatest soccer 2 games I've ever seen. 2 of the best soccer matches I've ever watched in my life.
What an all-time classic. 2 young rosters. Yamin Lamar. What a great performance by Yamin. Oh my God.
Yamin, Lamar, right?
Yeah.
Yamal.
Yeah, what a performance! And you asked in a lineup, any Brazilian players left? Yes, one of each. Marquinhos at PSG and Carlos Augusto at Inter Milan, both defensive players. And it's ironic that PSG assembled one of the greatest offensive trios on paper. Mbappe, Neymar, Messi, and the French the PSG supporters were thought, now we're gonna win the Champions League. They didn't even came close. And now with a more humble roster, which I mean, they still have great names like Yakimi that play nice, Donnarumma, Dembele, but with not the same ego, uh, advance to the finals and played tremendously tonight against Arsenal.
Yeah. So who do you have to in the Inter Milan and PSG
Oh,
final? To me, Milan feels like a team of destiny. I mean, they blew 2-2 goal leads, but managed to still win, especially on that miracle at the end of regulation. But PSG, just seeing them play today, they seem more structured to me. Like, they're not going to let Milan score 7 times on
I
them.
think PSG is in the right track. I think they have the right players and the right coach. I think it's a combination of both. You know, Luis Enrique, a coach that you know has been has lived that before. Has been in those kind of situations with Barcelona.
Right.
So I
So we are about to begin penalty kicks. Indy 11's up first. You're for a right to go to the Sweet 16. I'm trying to see if I can see. I think I saw Jason actually walking back over to the other side. They're going. Everyone's all going to one side of the stadium. It's about probably 40% full. I would say in Philadelphia. So number 9 Williams. I think his name is Ozzy. All right, come on, hit this, hit this. Got it. All right. So Indy up 1-0. All right, and guess we'll be right back in a second. Yeah, so definitely large stakes here. It's 1-0, Indy 11. The winner goes on to the round of 16. Indy 11's looking for a second straight year with a cup set over an MLS squad. Philadelphia now is getting ready. Number 19, Vasily, getting ready to shoot. And guess while we are waiting here, kind of what else is going in Brazilian soccer as Philadelphia gets ready to take this shot.
So here in Brazil, this midweek is Libertadores and Sulamericana, week 4 of the group stage. Palmeiras winning again, 1-0. They're in the 87th minute. I don't think they're gonna lose this game anymore. They should have been winning by 2 or 3 goals. I mean, if you go to your Facebook Messenger and see the video of the chance the Palmeiras blew it, because this is one of the most outrageous goal goal opportunities missed I have ever seen.
Yeah, so Philadelphia hit there first, so it's 1-1. Back to Indy 11, number 8, taking the second one. Pulling up this. And okay, Indy 11 hits their second one, 2-1. Back to Philadelphia. All right, let's see here. Wow, so he's all by himself. There's no way he
Yes.
misses this. Oh my God. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah. Palmeiras should be up by 2-0 at least, or even more. So, oh my God, Cerro Porteño just hit the post. Oh my God.
All
And
right.
Palmeiras 1-0.
And what minute is that game in?
88 minutes.
All right. Very tight game here. Philadelphia with their second shot. They hit it. So 2-2. All right. Back to Indianapolis.
Yeah. And the other Brazilian team in Libertadores, Sao Paulo, win 2-0 yesterday. They're really close to being qualified to the next round as well. They are in group D, first place, 6 points ahead of Alianza Lima. And Palmeiras with this win tonight also. And I believe in the other game, Sporting Cristal is winning. So Palmeiras not only is qualifying for the playoffs for the round of 16, they're also guaranteed a first place in the group. So Palmeiras going to play their last 2 matches in the group stage of Libertadores. Can play with the reserves. Doesn't matter. They are in. So
unfortunately, Philadelphia has stopped Indianapolis's third attempt. Great save by the Philly goalkeeper. So Philadelphia has a chance to take a lead there. Number 76, Rick. So India 11's goalkeepers have to come up with another massive save. All right, Philadelphia comes up and they score. So it's 3-2. Now Philadelphia. All right, what else is going on?
Yeah. And while the two teams from the state of São Paulo thriving in Libertadores, Corinthians in Sulamericana not so much, tying 1-1 at home against América de Cali. Third game of their new head coach, Dorival Jr. I mean, they can still advance at least to the playoff stage. But things doesn't look good. To Corinthians, and but my and in the Brazilian Championship, Palmeiras in the first place again, winning 1-0 against Vasco da Gama. Bragantino, Red Bull Bragantino, back on top. They're in the second place. They play in their new stadium, which is kind of a non-permanent stadium. They remodel an old municipal stadium in Bragança Paulista, and they're gonna play there while their official stadium, Nabia Bichedid Stadium, is gonna be totally rebuilt by Red Bull. So Red Bull Bragantino is building a new stadium. I'm curious to see how this new stadium looks in Bragança Paulista. I'm really
Yeah, I mean,
curious.
new stadiums are always interesting. Now, both teams just hit their fourth attempts. So it's 4-3. So if Indy 11 misses here, Philly will win. So Indy 11 has to score to keep the game going.
Yeah.
The Philly crowd is being vocal.
And last but not least, I forgot to put a lineup, but I have to talk about this. So there's a lot of turmoil with the Brazilian with the Brazilian Soccer Confederation, because Brazil still has no head coach for the men's national team.
Wow.
Dorival Jr. was fired. It feels like almost a month ago. There's no substitute, but because Carlo Ancelotti again said no, and he's totally right about it. And any other candidate should refuse, at least for now, to sign with the Brazilian Soccer Confederation, because their president, Edinaldo, Edinaldo.
Here, so Indy scored their fifth goal. So right now we are truly down sudden death, and it looks like we have perhaps a fight starting.
Ooh.
I don't know what started this, but Philly and Indy are getting into it. Right before Indianapolis's or Philadelphia, if they score, they win. All right, number 4 for Philadelphia Union. Lukic. Does Indy 11 have any magic left? Philadelphia hits it. They'll advance. Indy 11 gets eliminated. So that was they came close.
Really close. Congratulations to them, definitely. Also, Chattanooga Red Wolves eliminated. So Chattanooga out also of the U.S. Open Cup. They're eliminated by Nashville.
Yeah, I mean, 2 rings up. That's not a surprise to me, but hey, great run for them. I mean, they'll never forget the cup set of the Las Vegas Lights, and of course, beating Chattanooga FC in the Derby. I mean, Chattanooga Red Wolves had already won this competition.
Yeah, I think for the Red Wolves being the Derby, that was their goal. The rest was extras.
Yes. But in any case, kind of.
Oh my God! What a goal! What a goal by Vitor Roque, former Barcelona striker, scores for Palmeiras. What a freaking goal! What a freaking goal! Beautiful, beautiful. He went on the left side, advanced to the penalty area, and scored. Beautiful 2-0. Palmeiras can claim the victory in Paraguay.
Wow. Big ups there. So Palmeiras going to win. Indy 11 loses. When it
Yeah.
comes to Brazil, real quick, they got to get this right. 24
Yeah.
years since they won the World Cup. So, and then,
But I mean, if history says something, when Brazil won the World Cup back in 2002, there was a lot of turmoil with the Brazilian confederations. There was even a Congress investigation with the Brazilian soccer. There was a lot of political turmoil with the Brazilian soccer infrastructure, and Brazil's still able to win. But the problem now is back then in 2001, even with all this turmoil, the leadership of the Brazilian Confederation was strong, and now it's not so much because Edinaldo Rodrigues is hanging by a tide.
right.
Brazilian Soccer Confederation, one of their vice president, went to the Supreme Court, asked for the immediate removal of Edinaldo Rodrigues. One of the Brazilian Supreme Court justice, Gilmar Mendes, wants to investigate the fraud within the Brazilian Confederation. So it's a whole mess of the Brazilian Soccer Confederation.
Yeah. I mean, I think, too, it doesn't. Do you feel like perhaps Argentina winning in 2022 perhaps accelerated some of this kind of internal meltdown?
And not so much. It's more like what happens on the politics itself that contaminated, unfortunately, Brazil soccer. It feels like more like it all started when Rogério Caboclo, which was a good, not great, but good Brazilian soccer good Brazilian Soccer Confederation president, was removed because of some sexual harassment allegations. I'm not defending him or saying that what he did was right. No, it was wrong and he should be removed. But unfortunately, his replacement was even worse in terms of leadership.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what Brazil can do. Of course, I think Brazil and the U.S. have a lot of questions heading into next year's
A
World
lot, a
Cup.
lot.
Yeah, that'll continue to be a theme, though, of this Two Countries to America's All Sports podcast as we gear up, get closer and closer to. And to me, I think that's probably the single most anticipated event of this podcast, because I'll have to see if I can get close to some games while we
And
do.
I'll definitely. Even my brother was asking me about tickets. I'll say, Eduardo, you know, there's the team's not even qualified yet, so calm down.
Well, I think Brazil will get there. I think they'll win.
Oh, another. Speaking of World Cup, the cities for the 2027 FIFA Women's World Cup was set today.
Yes, I
Uh,
saw that. I saw the Macarena, or the Macarena will be the
yeah,
Americanaut. Jesus Christ! Why am I calling it the Macarena?
yeah.
No,
So FIFA picks 8 host cities for the 2027 Women's World Cup in Brazil. So the cities are Rio de Janeiro with Maracanã, Belo Horizonte with Mineirão, Brasilia with the National Stadium, the Fortaleza with the Castelão Arena, Porto Alegre with Beira Rio Stadium, Arena Pernambuco, the Recife, city of Recife and Arena Pernambuco, Salvador with Arena Fonte Nova Stadium, and of course, Sao Paulo with Neoquímica Arena, the home of Corinthians. So those are the cities. I think though it's fair. Maybe I would have changed one. I would have put a site in the Amazon area. Maybe Belém should be awarded one
I
instead
think
of
the concern
Recife.
is for the Women's World Cup. They're not going to get nearly as many travelers for that. So, for the
And
men's, it's
that's
different.
why it should be put one in the north because the closest area to the United States, which probably draw more attention. I feel like should it be changed? I would have put maybe Recife or Salvador and change for Belém because Belém has a new stadium, has soccer interest as in the Amazon area. But
I'm just glad that it's on this side of the world this time, because
yeah,
the last time I was having to watch U.S. women's soccer matches at 6 a.m.
yeah.
Not fun.
So it's gonna be in Brazil. I'm excited. I'm excited.
Yes, but much better times for the next two World Cups.
Yeah.
But I think it's all the time that we have for Two Countries for America's All Sports. That's Gus Tomazelli, and I'm Nick Hill. Thank you so much for what was a really fun episode. A lot of live sports tonight.
And that's what we like.
Exactly.